A very good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us again. This is Matsanga Africa Perspective, and of course, our topic right now is silencing drums of war here in Africa. And we shall start by looking at the recent or the current, political dynamics in the country and the potential, this politicking that we've been seeing going on, the potential it has in plunging this country into chaos. We've seen that happen in the previous, years before. So we shall look at that, and also perhaps also get to look at other places across the continent. Doctor, good morning. All right, so as we wait for Doctor to join us, because he will be leading us on this show right now, on the panel with me is none other than Professor Jared Onyari. Professor, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Miriam and Daniel, Karen, and our viewers this morning.
All right, and also Daniel Wesonga, our correspondent from Nairobi. Daniel, good morning.
Yes, sir. Very good morning, Miriam, Professor Jared Onyari, and Karen Joseph, and of course our viewers.
And of course, today we are also joined by a panelist from Nanyuki there by the name Javan Karanja. Javan, good morning. All right, as he works on his reception, our usual panelist all the way from Malindi there, the coastal town of Kenya there, Karen Josephs. Karen, good morning to you.
Good morning, Miriam. Good morning, Professor. Good morning, Sean, and Javan once he gets back, and our viewers. This is Karen Joseph from Malindi.
All right, very well. So I'm not sure if Doctor has been able to join us. Doctor, are you there? All right, as we wait for Doctor there to join us. Javan, I see you back. Good morning. Karanja from Nanyuki.
Morning.
All right, very well. He's joining us all the way from Nanyuki there, and it is a pleasure to have you on the show today. Even as we look at silencing the drums of war here in the continent, we've seen, like I said there earlier, the recent or the current political temperatures in the country that really putting the country on a very a delicate path when it comes to stability and peace that we have enjoyed for the last, couple of years after coming through from a very difficult time as a country after the post-election violence in 2007 and 2008. And our leader seems to have, some of our political leaders seems to have forgotten very fast. And right now we are seeing we are on a different path, and also perhaps we shall look at what role does media play when it comes to, fueling some of these tensions and conflicts, in the country. Are there things that, as a media we can choose not to air because we know should we air it, it might not be very good for the peace and stability of a country, or do we just go ahead and enjoy that freedom and not really think about the responsibility that we have to ensure also that we help in keeping our country together? It is a very thin line. I see Doctor there is struggling to join us, but once his signal is stable. Doctor, are you there?
Miriam.
Okay, good morning. Karibu sana. We've already done the introduction. We're waiting for you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Miriam. Again, as I told you, power on this side of the planet is giving me headache. And I don't know whether I'm now all right here.
You're fantastic. Just go ahead. Yes, you're good.
Yeah. Thank you very much. First of all, the drums of war seem to be growing louder and louder in Africa. Whenever you see signs of election fighting opponents within the parties in Kenya, people jostling for 2022 elections. In Tanzania, the fragmentation of democracy through the state apparatus. In Mozambique, there is a breakdown. The drums of war seem to be louder. in Somalia, the same thing. You see the president failing to appoint a prime minister, sacking the other one. Those are all drums of war. In South Sudan is now quiet. The two people seem to be working together. Those are drums of war. Elsewhere in Ivory Coast, you see in Africa, there are drums of war where the former president, after saying he will not run for presidency, he has decided to come back to run for presidency. Those are drums of war. So, Miriam, in a nutshell, I don't know whether I have changed and I am upside, the thing is falling.
Yes.
In a nutshell, Miriam.
That's better, yes.
The drums of war are there. And you can see in Kenya mostly, analyze the Department of Cohesion, the Commission for the Cohesion of the people of Kenya, integration, analysts, they come in, if analysts, the government swiftly comes in to arrest, detain, isolate the few loudmouths. If you look at what the MP for Kapsaret was saying last night, he was not bothered. That is one thing that should worry security agencies. That why is a man who has said what all of us were hearing, came back to reconfirm that yes, I have no apology to make. Although I said these words, I have no apology. Why are we keeping quiet? Why don't we take serious punitive measures that will stop this country from disintegrating before elections and after elections? It is now very clear that the 2022 elections in Kenya will not be as peaceful as you anticipated. In our earlier discussion, we talked of generic pseudo accounts, created impression that the whole of Kenya loves you. But when this impression does not appear on the ballot, what will you do? Won't you go to the bush? Won't you have a plan B? These are the questions that the people must start questioning today. In Uganda, you saw a whole minister sweeping a machine gun from his bodyguard and wanting to shoot people. These are all the dangers of a bad bringing up or bad elections. These are all dangers of no hygiene. Does Africa have hygiene to conduct elections? My answer is no. And I believe, Miriam, you also have the answer no. We don't have that hygiene. We don't have hygiene. We come into this election without 2 letters. If I am defeated, I read a speech and I congratulate my friend. If I win, I'll read a speech and hug him, whom I have. We want to kill the vanquished. That's why.
All right. Doctor, we cannot get your audio there. We seem to have lost your audio
took
there.
part in the first election and did not take part in the second election. But still, the two agreed to move forward for the sake of their country called Kenya. Another point that I want to bring out in our discussion is the question of Zimbabwe. Look at the fake documentaries by the political party called MDC. Fake abductions that are conducted. Miriam, I believe you have seen that film. You'll look at it again. So how the two ladies ended up abducting themselves, then saying we have been abducted. In the current situation, you cannot be abducted, then have your phone still with you. Who is this stupid abductor who can allow you to have a phone, knowing very well that you will phone your people and tell them I've been abducted? With those remarks, I want to submit that yes, drums of war are beginning to sound in Africa. Across in Uganda, there are drums of war. Back in Kenya, some drums of war are beginning to be sounded by few people who are determined to serve the masters properly and beyond the master's wish. In Somalia, drums of war are being sung. Opposition opponents are being eliminated. There is uncertainty. The United States of America has issued an indicting analysis, which I've been saying here all the time, that Somalia is the most corrupt government that you can ever have on planet Earth. In Tanzania, we have people being detained. Opposition party members are not being allowed to conduct their affairs peacefully. All these are drums of war. As we seek to find a solution to the drums of war, how then does Africa come out of an election with pandemic? How then does Ivory Coast conduct its elections with a president former president, 86 years old, coming back to say, I want also to contest? At 86 to 90, he should be retiring in the House of Commons, in the House of Lords. We should create a house where people can pick knowledge from them. But here we are. We have a problem. The younger generation again in Africa has a problem. The new leadership crop that wants to take over these leaders. You have an example in Kenya. You have an example in Uganda. Bob Wine. Is he capable to unite that country? Is he going to win an election? If he doesn't win an election, how is he going to control the Wesongas, who are plenty, who would like to run to the streets of Kampala? These are the questions in this particular subject that I wanted us to discuss today. I beg to move to the studio.
All right, thank you so much, Doctor, for that introduction. Wesonga, I had promised that we shall come back to you after Doctor's introduction, so take it away. And just a couple of issues there that Doctor has raised, and respond to that or add to that, and then we continue from there.
Yes, Miriam, of course, you talked about the issue of generic accounts, and I wanted to add my input on it and just put a cover on it. And you remember in 2019 when we were having the Kibra by-election, the other side of the political divide conducted some surveys in order to measure up the popularity of the two topmost contenders. That was Imran Okoth and Donald Mariga. And in all the surveys online, it came out clearly that Mariga would win the election with a very, very high margin. And that is one thing that can be attributed to what Dr. Matsanga and the rest of the panelists are talking about, that illusion that is created on social media, that false hope that some particular candidate has a clout over the other, when in reality there's nothing like that on the ground. And so that tells you that we do have a social media bubble that needs to be busted before it could plunge the country into a lot of chaos. Because you understand that most social media platforms can be manipulated in a number of ways. Like just what Dr. Matsanga talked about in the US, the issue of TikTok. They have been using this application to be able to mine data of Americans and be able to influence their political opinion. And most times, even on Facebook, when you log into Facebook, you'll find an application asking you to enter maybe your name, your age, and maybe a few questions about you. And then they will tell you in some good language they want to predict maybe if next year you'll be having maybe a wedding, or maybe you'll have moved to a new profession or something of sort. And those are some of the loopholes in our social media platforms that are used to mine data, which is later used for political purposes. So you find that sometimes when they do programming and they create the rules, this is what we call making the rules in when you are coding some programs. It makes sure that now, for depending on the data that they mine from your platform, they can be able to take control of your social media accounts and be able to do targeting using them. And that is why you find out that someone, as Dr. Matsanga said, someone makes a post on a social media platform, and within minutes it has 20,000 likes. But when it comes to reality now, when you check the comments, people who are discussing substance there is hardly none who is commenting in the comment section. So
Okay.
that is some, yes, that has really influenced social media, and we should discourage such kind of mischievous activities on the social media space, like the US is doing, Uganda is doing, so that it doesn't create a notion. Politics is all about perception. It doesn't create a notion that someone is ahead of the pack, when in reality the prevailing circumstances really do not put him ahead of the rest. So that will be akin to hypnotizing the nation towards some leadership which is very non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my point, Miriam.
All right, very well. Our guest, before I come to Professor and Karen, Javan Karanja from Nanyuki, what's your take on this? What the issues that Doctor has brought up there, and also the ones also, Daniel has mentioned there. What's your response to some of those?
Thank you very much. First of all, I will reiterate my previous point.
Are you able to speak a bit louder, Karanja? Just one moment. Are you able to speak much louder so that we're able to get you, please?
Okay, thank you. Are you getting me?
All right. Yeah.
Am I loud?
Go ahead. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm saying this, we should have a regulation that on these things, when someone is creating an account, we should have a regulation that will ensure that we don't have these pseudo accounts or accounts that don't really have a person that you cannot track. There are things that are created, it's like a robot. We should have a regulation. They should be regulated, because when you go to media, even now, you'll find that there's a particular divide in the political arena, that when they post something, we have the numbers of likes versus the number of the comments. You find the likes are huge, and the people who are making comments, people who are talking substance, something that can make sense, the number is very low. This creates a perception that a certain politician is ahead, and a certain politician is already winning the election. And we remember in 2013, we had a similar scenario where a presidential candidate, Peter Kenneth, was ahead of her in social media. All those social media polls, they put him, they used to put him ahead of others. But when the election came, President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga were the forces in that race. Therefore, these things are creating a very bad impression. I think that is why we have politicians in the country who are chest dumping, and that they feel like they have already gotten the presidency in 2022, even before we have gone through the process, because of this thing of creating an impression and making them feel like they are doing best. And that's why you find mostly those politicians, they have a way of using the voters, using tokens of appreciation, gifts, and handouts. When they post that thing, attraction, and those people who like, they feel like what they are doing is good. That's why they keep on doing that, repeating and doing it repeated. Therefore, we should, as a country, we should have a regulation, and at least every person should have one account. Yeah,
All right.
to avoid those. Another point is that most of these suicidal accounts are the ones that use abusive language. They are the ones that alter insults, because as people you cannot trace, are people that they cannot follow the security regulations of the rule of law. You cannot track them. They are just there. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Very well, thank you so much there, Karen. Something there that Javan has brought up, and this is how the new media, which is the social media, and sometimes even the conventional media, they create a certain perception on certain people, especially when it comes to politics, that sometimes might not match the reality in the ground when now comes to people have to go vote or things like that. And so sometimes it might create even, some conflict, because when they see that they have so much support, and we know a lot of dislikes, and sometimes they're bought even on social media. But when they go down to the ground, as young Kenyans would say out there, things happens not to be. Things are different. So, what are the dangers of this false perception that the new media and even the conventional media create sometimes when it comes to politics, and can they fuel conflict in a country, Karen?
Yes, Miriam. They can fuel conflicts in a country, because nobody would come to understand how did it happen. And with the social media, there's a history. You can go back and check and see, what really happened there. So doing a comparative, it can actually make people reject the results and prove to people. And the proof they're going to use the same social media. So it can fuel, and if people take it lightly, then we will not end up we will not be heading anywhere, anytime soon. And to add to what Dr. Matsanga just said, these people who make documentaries or write to people in the West, what they're trying to do is making us feel like our governments here have failed. When you come against your own people, and when people watch these documentaries, people read these books, or people go through whatever it is that they're writing, and they feel like our government has failed, this could also fuel conflict. So the people who are using, who are writing or coming up with documentaries should be very keen on what they, because they are pleasing the people from the West. Mm-hmm. But on this end, we as the people, we feel like our government has failed. Why do we have this? Why do we have that? And also, as much as they're writing, they should be very keen, because some of these things that they're writing could turn against us. These other countries could stop funding us, could put sanctions and all of that. So when you stop funding a country, we do not have drugs, we do not have food, what do the people do? They will, they'll rise against the government. So some of these things, we cause them on our own. We should be very careful of what we expose to these other countries. And he also talked of in some countries, the oppositions are being eliminated. Dr. Matsanga was very correct. I totally agree with him. And as for the social media here, it doesn't forget. So if an election goes wrong and people do not accept the results, they will refer to social media because it has proved. So we should, I agree that we should work with our people the way the President Museveni is doing, even the US. If US itself has come up with banning some of these apps, it seems it's very serious. So we shouldn't take it lightly at all.
All right, very well. And under the Constitution of Kenya, under the Bill of Rights, that is Chapter 4 of the Kenyan Constitution, the media rights are hinged on Article 34, that is the freedom of media, and also Article 33, that is the freedom of expression, where we see a lot of the media and the freedom we see people expressing, it's hinged there. And on Article 34 of the Chapter 4 of the Bill of Rights there on freedom of the media, subsection B, it says the state shall not penalize any person for any opinion or view or the content of any broadcast, publication or dissemination. So that's why we see all these freedoms here that we enjoy. And the Kenyan government, to some very large extent, do respect these rights as enshrined in our constitution. But now some political leaders are fanning hate speech and incitement, hence increasing tensions in the country over the utterances being made amid, of course, it's escalating 2022 election fever. And the media has provided a very thriving platform to everything these politicians are saying. So as much as we have these freedoms, which of course, we fought for us to be where we are today, for us to be able to speak the way we are speaking today, because our constitution protects and allows us to do that. But at the same time, to what extent should even these media houses self-regulate so that they say, as much as, this news might sell, but is it good for this country? Will it help bring the country together, or just completely encourage this country to tear apart, Professor, there? It's a very thin line. How can the media itself regulate itself, even as it continues to enjoy these freedoms as per our constitution?
Thank you, Miriam, for that question. Miriam, Chapter 4 of the 2010 Kenyan Constitution is very progressive on the Bill of Rights. And rights must be with responsibility. Where your rights stops, mine begins there. You once said that the government cannot interfere with you, that you have got freedom to incite people to cause war. So what we need to do is to have responsible media. And the media sets out the agenda for people to consume. Even the social media, we are trying to say that the government should not be sleeping, because, Miriam, the signs are on the wall, have been written on the wall. The triggers are there. Miriam, when we talk about drums of war, when you beat the drum, you are at people. You are passing the message. You are telling people to be ready for war. And in Africa, Miriam, elections are not won. There is a perception that in Africa, elections are real. So, a responsible media, and that's why the government will come here and say that they cannot allow people to go on making those inflammatory statements that it is because it's in the Constitution. The Constitution, when it comes to the right, that you cannot have the rights because you use the Constitution when it favors you, but you want to interfere with my right that I don't want to enjoy life, I don't want to have my freedom of movement, you are going to destroy my property, you are creating a ground for anarchy. No, the government, Miriam, will come and regulate you. And Miriam, let me just try to say that it is good that we are discussing this topic across the continent of Africa. Remember, there was a commitment from Africa Union by 2020 that we must have guns silencing in Africa. What is their commitment when you can see people now again beating drums for war? So in the nutshell, and to answer your question very clear, on Chapter 4 of the Bill of Rights, Article 33, 34, and 35, even the right to information. People must be able to exercise these rights responsibly so that they don't interfere with peace. Because even at all, if they interfere with that peace, if there's anarchy and chaos in the country, even those rights of of Article 33, 34, 35 will never be enjoyed. So, Miriam, the government and the intelligence agencies should move forward and again, those people who are trying to misuse that part of the Constitution and be charged in a court of law, and a message to be taken that you cannot have your cake and eat it, and others not eat their cake. Thank you, Miriam.
All right, very well. And Doctor, something there that I think it's Karen who brought it up about, even some of the, the international funders there, they'll go look at what is trending because, we, like Kenyans, KOT, the Kenyans on Twitter, they're very, very active and they're able to push a narrative, an agenda, and a hashtag. And sometimes these other Western countries especially, they pay keen attention to subjects that they feel are important to their own foreign policies there. So this could even influence how they decide, do we give Kenya more money or not? Because from what you're seeing here, Kenyans are saying the government has stolen all the money for this and that. The government is so much involved in corruption and all that, because they're able to drive these agendas. And now we cannot underestimate the power of especially the new media, and that is the social media. And you've seen it has become a platform for also diplomacy. Look at how President Trump is using it, or rather misusing it. Now we call it the social media diplomacy there. So it's a very important tool. And we've seen also coups happen in this continent out of social media. People are able to mobilize. We saw it in Sudan. We saw it in Algeria. We've seen it in now Mali, and also a broad change there in Malawi, Doctor. So even as the issue of these pseudo accounts have come up, which I think is it's a security matter, Doctor. With all this together, are we able to regulate? How can it be regulated? Is there a way to even regulate this new media? Because it's easy to close down a conventional television station, but how do you get a hold on all these supporters on social media?
First of all, Medium, we can regulate. We can tell the internet providers that don't accept to open an account of a person whose picture is not the real picture. We have not said it. We have not said it. Therefore, in each country, we can bring now laws that medium, if you are going to Twitter, your picture must look like Matsanga, should not look like a Matsanga, should look like a you. If that picture is not looking, that account cannot work. The Twitter management will stop you from even posting. How come then, Medium, they post, they stop? If they see you posting some things which are not good, the Twitter comes in and blocks you for a week. Isn't it Wesonga?
True, very true.
Then why are they not blocking certain things in Africa? Why are they blocking TikTok in US and not blocking for us, Itumbi? Or Alai, or whoever it is. Look at them, Moses Kuria. They have generic accounts. They are the masters in this country that create generic accounts to insult people, to claim that there was assassination attempt. You have the videos. Surely you must be a hacker to be in a meeting while you are still sleeping in Mombasa. You must be a hacker in Kisumu and you are seeing something happening in Gatundu South. You must be a hacker who knows something in Nairobi or in Lagos if it has not been sent to you. You must be a proper investigative journalist, registered. Some countries have registered journalists. When, for example, in Britain, you must have your paper. You must have your card. You must have your account. You can't open a pseudo account. You have never seen me open a pseudo account with Songa.
Yes.
For all these years, my picture is on my account. There's nothing. If someone opens, that's why Twitter and Facebook has never closed me. Because I don't write things. It all comes back, Miriam, the question you asked, how do we do it? Look at, I've sent a video of Victoria Rubadiri, of what she did as a documentary. I want us to look at it. Stephen has it. Let him put it out. Then we come back. If it is too long, he cuts it. But let's see the first opening words of what Victoria Rubadiri, a well-known journalist who has scooped a BBC award, what she did in order to come to where she is. Look at what she did. She killed her own country. Let's have a look at that video.
All right, they're still working on it. When it's ready, they shall alert us. They're telling me they're still working on it.
So, as they are working on it, let me conclude my point. What do we do? Regularize the Cyber Security Act. No opening of pseudo accounts. You see, the war drums and the pseudo accounts go hand in hand. Look at Mr. Sudi. Mr. Sudi is a matatu tout. Of Roda, Malaba. Nairobi, watu wawili wanabaki. Mr. Sudi cannot write the English that he puts on Twitter. I swear. He doesn't know those words. He can't even explain to you what renaissance means. This was a matatu tout who dropped out and bought certificates of another person to come to parliament. He has a case with EACC. But when you look at his language, Miriam, the language that he has never spoken in parliament, even for half a second. Never. But because he comes from Kapsaret, and he's a shoe polisher of Dr. William Ruto, he polishes the shoes. You know, from matatu tout, you can generate it to a shoe cobbler, then a briefcase handler. Then from briefcase handler, you can become a mafia killer. The stage where we are going to mafiadom. When a man comes back and restates his point, he has already collected enough guns. He's only telling you, what can you do? Try me. Yes, he's just simply he's telling the Kenya security agencies that what will you do? I did not insult anybody. Yet we had it with our, and he was even telling the journalist was saying, do you want us to really broadcast this? He told them, yes, put everything, don't cut it. You remember on the end of the tape, you listen to his tape properly. Is that the type of Twitter, social media, generic accounts? Sudi cannot write English. No. Someone writes this Twitter. So we must look for this someone who is causing more problems for Kenyans and for Africans. How do we punish these people? Nyakundi no longer writes. You remember? Nyakundi used to be a pain in people's necks. But Twitter blocked him. Took fingerprints were taken there. Any machine he touches, they will know it is Nyakundi. And they will block him. So it is now up to the government to stop these unwarranted attacks on people who cannot explain themselves, who create drums of war, to move forward like the Ugandan law, that the Communication Commission of Kenya will monitor your account. If it finds you have 1 million viewers, listeners, people doing likes on Twitter, you must show them who they are. And therefore, you must declare that you produced money from it. Facebook itself is starting to change because people are making billions out of Facebook without originally changing, sticking to the point of community. For example, Miriam, why we can't put a commercial broadcast soliciting for money on this television station? You know that very well. Facebook will knock on our door tomorrow. You say, why are you appealing for money from our platform? So governments can do something in Africa also. They can do something by restricting these guys, making sure that there's a cyber act that prohibits you, that when you start going into Twitter, you write, you know, you have 6 years waiting for you.
Mm-hmm. All right.
People will run away from it.
Mm-hmm.
But if we keep on talking the way we are talking, drums of war will come louder and louder and louder.
Mm-hmm.
And on another point, corruption is also being perpetrated through Twitter and Facebook generically. When the DCI wants to arrest the thieves of Emerald and the Kemerolo Dam, Twitter was out throughout. You saw that Dr. Professor and Karen and Karanja and Songa. One side of Jubilee, part of the government, used the Twitter to marshal support for the thieves who had stolen the money from Kemerolo Dam. We lost that money. Does that bring drums of war? Mm-hmm. Even in corruption, the bad media, the fake media, has played a role in covering up acts. The pressure in the arms, the fake arms that came to Deputy President's office. You saw how Twitter and the social media and the fake media turned a blind eye against this DCI and they said DCI were lying. Where have we got those results, Miriam? Shall we hear about a case again coming to court? The last we heard about Ekesa was getting his 2 guns back to go and shoot people. And if I'm not mistaken, they are already starting to do so. So I want to take this opportunity to thank you and tell you the truth. Drums of war, the fake media, is the tape ready?
Yes, I'm being told it is ready now. I think they can roll it.
Okay.
Production.
Roll it, and Miriam put it on for me to hear, because I have no other hearing equipment.
Okay, I'll do that.
Every day, the news agenda is packed, and yesterday's story is quickly forgotten. But here at Citizen TV, we don't forget. Every Sunday night, I'll be digging up the cold trails of the multi-billion shilling projects that turned into white elephants. We'll revisit the unresolved mysteries that have faded from the public eye. The political promises that are begging to be fulfilled, and the pieces of legislation that are gathering dust on the shelves. That's the National Reminder. Sunday, 9 p.m. with me, Victoria Rubadiri. Lest you forget.
Okay, there. It has played. I think that's the new show that will be coming up on Sundays, as we have had there by the Kenyan Citizen TV journalist there, Victoria Rubadiri, doctor.
I have not heard.
It's called the National Reminder.
The National what?
The National Reminder.
You see, you all of you are Kenyans. You have seen that clip. That clip really represents the SGR we travel on. Is SGR wrong for the people of East Africa? Surely. All of you are Kenyans. Did you not hear Justice Odunga block the laptops? Did you hear or you did not hear? Jubilee Manifesto could not even function 1 inch. Didn't you hear the play? The stadia blocked. No stadia will take place. All of you are Kenyans. Didn't you hear people going to block the railway from passing through for 1 year? Through the national park on its way to Naivasha. Did you or did you not? Did you or did you not hear people in Mariakani, where my sister comes from, protesting that they would not, after even getting compensation, they came back? How much time did we spend when we had borrowed money that was supposed to start being repaid on litigation angles? You are all Kenyans. You are Kenyans. Haven't you seen Huduma Center? Can't you get your license, your driving license, your birth certificate, your ID, your passport renewed when you are still in Nanyuki? How many of you go to queue for the passport? How many of you have received telephone calls to come and collect your documents? How many of you enjoy the privilege that driving licenses are now issued back in Huduma centers near your town. That the person in near your town in Nanyuki, in Malindi, will call you that can you come and collect your driving license? It is ready. Is this a nation that you can predict and call a nation of doom, a nation of failure? I rest my case. You have seen Victoria Rubadiri, I don't know, Victoria Rubadiri is clip. This is the clip of a person who has been given hospitality in this country. And she has now got a BBC job. Do you think she will ever come back to defend any Kenyan? Except the mother, or the father, or the brother, or the rest she wants. Is this the Africa we want? Is that clip a representation of the current Kenya? If you are using SGR, how many of us used to go by bus? And today you sit 4 hours, you are already in Mombasa. You enjoy on Friday. For 1 shilling, 1,000 shillings. For 2,000 shillings, you can go and swim, drink the water until, even if you are not eating food in Mombasa, you only drink that Indian Ocean water. Kunywa, kunywa, kunywa. Utoe kila kitu itoke. And then you come back. Surely, is that not Kenya? How many of you have seen elephants? They pay to go and see elephants in Mara. Enter this train, reach Tsafo East and Tsafo West. The microphone lady will tell you now you are passing Tsafo. On the left, you can see the herd of elephants, which we always pay dearly to go to Mara. Is that not a Kenya that we want? How many jobs have been made? Naivasha, even if it was not COVID-19, it's very difficult to find a lodge right now in Naivasha. A hotel, a lodge in Naivasha. It's very difficult. You watch in Naivasha. Within a shortest time, 2 years, Naivasha will be our capital for us to run to for quick holiday near that ocean, lake in Naivasha. Houses have sprung, hotels have sprung because of the terminal. It's not Kenya you want. How many Ugandan ladies are now in Naivasha? It comes with biashara, business. The ladies also have moved from Kampala to Naivasha. We used to, if it was not COVID-19, Miriam, I know this is not a very good subject, but we would be enjoying closer home near Naivasha. The hotel industry will be booming because the ladies are here. Naivasha has become a center of attraction, of discourse, dancing at night, enjoying, going on the lake. Is that not the Kenya a good media house can depict? Tell me, has Rubidiri looked at that as a legacy? A town from nowhere. A town from nowhere A port from nowhere is springing up. That is the Kenya we want. That's the good journalism. Not the drums of war. The drums of war caused Rwanda to become Rwanda less one tribe. As much as the Tutsi died in Rwanda, do you know that over 2 million other Hutu people disappeared? Where are the tents that grew? Professor Onyari, you are a peace envoy of United OCHA, United Nations Human Rights. Have you ever found out what happened to the refugees, the Hutu refugees? Are they died are they still in the forest? You saw the blue tents in 1995. Where did these tents go? Millions and millions of them perished. Is that the Africa we want from bad drums of war? You saw in the COVID Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire. The French stood and watched. The French took side to Ouattara, Alassane Ouattara. Alassane Ouattara lost an election. The Constitutional Court gave a win to Babuko. Because the law of Cote d'Ivoire still and have said it is only Alassane, only Babuko who should be only Babuko who should be the president, the winner. We killed Ivory Coast. Babuko served his sentence, is back. The panic is there. Have you seen how God works miracles? The man who wanted him jailed served his sentence. And then the man came back and said, I'm finished. Thank you very much. You can't touch him again. You can't cause war and say, I am the one. Have you seen how God works miracles?
Oh, yes.
So, do we want these drums of war in our countries?
No.
That's my submission this afternoon, Miriam.
All right, very well. Professor, do you have anything to add on that clip that we just, played there? And we know one of the roles of the media in Kenya and even across the world is being a public watchdog. So, I mean, where is the line? Where do we draw the line?
William, you added sometime when we were starting, I was telling Karen that some of the things we do may come to haunt us. 4 years you interviewed me, and today you are interviewing, we are together. You know that?
I don't know if doctor knows that.
And doctor should be able to know that.
Yes.
Why am I making so, William? I have never seen, and challenge me here and help me, any Western media which writes anything good from Africa. Tell me which one. They want to portray Africa as a dark continent, is a backward continent, as a primitive continent, where there is corruption, where there is murder, where there is anything else. And then where you find yourself, where an African, you are writing for BBC, you go for some time. It reminds me, Miriam, when I was growing up. My mom would give me this sweet potato ngwase. Then I will eat, and then I will throw some to the forest. When anger comes back, Miriam, I will go to look where I threw those potatoes. So, Rubadiri, Victoria, you can write all that you want to write about the Kenya. Go ahead. You will come back to this country. You must know that nobody trusts this king apart from yourself. And nobody will say good of Africa. I've already challenged you. So it is very unfortunate when you find the Daniel and Karen and Karanja. Someone saying is talking about evil about your country, no matter what. I have never seen any Musungu, or anyone from speaking ill of their country. And that's why yesterday we were talking about where has national ethos gone, national values, where has nationalism gone? What about patriotism? That for these small things that you want to destroy your country and these things enter in records, and they will say, see your country, we can't give you money. Dr. Matsanga has clearly said the standard gauge is working. The most unfortunate thing where other things, other countries, the STR is cheap is because our land is expensive compared to other countries. Other countries, they own land. But in this country, the land is in people's hands. So the government has to compensate. So it is very unfortunate that some of the people in the social media and the media be patriotic and love this country. Don't do things which will interfere with your peace, the peace of this country. You know, you sometimes, we are like sometimes because we get from Dr. Matsanga what he has undergone. He tells you as if it is yesterday, and you can see the pain in his face. You can see the expression, you can see emotions. Miriam, as to talk about peace, we don't talk for the sake. Some people elsewhere, because of these drums of war, made us that we cannot go back to our land. And there's nothing, they have done to that land for 30 years. So Miriam, we champion for true forgiveness and reconciliation. And we should ask ourselves, where did we go wrong? Why can't we talk to one another? Why can't we bring all our issues, Miriam? And Miriam, let me tell you, sometimes I have interacted with people from the West, Miriam. They don't trust you. They just look you. They just see you just like you just black African. Look at this monkey, what he's saying. So Miriam, I'm trying to say that let us love our country. Let us embrace peace. And the Miriam readers, like some of the leaders, you are charged of what kind of leader you are on how you treat the vulnerable people. So if you treat the vulnerable people you want wars, you want to interfere with their ways of life that they cannot be able to do their day-to-day activities in life, you are not even different from a baboon of the forest. Because they do behave like that, because they don't have that instinct of saying that they don't have that conscience. So Miriam, it is very unfortunate that Victor Rubadil, you have just come and you have gotten this one. Fine, just go say ill of the country, go and run it, continue doing it. But one day they will come to realize what you are trying to say about this. Don't do things which will make this country not enjoy peace. And I wonder, from 2007 and people have forgotten. That's how Miriam I became a person who is pursuing peace. And even the Bible says, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons and daughters of God. Let us embrace peace. It goes ahead to tell us it is good for brothers to live in harmony. Brothers and sisters to live in harmony. Together we can take this country forward. And as you always say, Miriam, this business of silencing the drums of war will never be done by us alone. It will be done by everybody. Let us not leave anyone behind. Let us help our president. Let us help the prime minister. Let us talk to one another, the Sudis, the Ngenos, the deputy prime minister, that this country is bigger than all of us. At some time and point, we leave this country. But we must ask ourselves what kind of country that we leave behind. Do we just on the social media? Miriam, as a chaplain, I have got 10 C's I teach. And the best one I teach, Miriam, is the 6th one, which I call common sense. Common sense in the sense, before you even write that one, do you ask yourself, do I write? Do I send? Interrogate yourself, what is it going to cause? We cannot be here ever and again, Miriam, trying to cry. Dr. Matsanga, as a true Pan-African, cannot come and tell what we need to do, Kenyans. We can sit and ask ourselves, where have we gone wrong? Where do we want to take our country? If it is the constitution that we want to change, Miriam, let us talk as brothers. If we find there's no need, we say, let us implement the one we have. If there are some areas which we can do for the Ammon and uniting the country, Miriam, what I'm trying to say, let us silence the drums of war. There is no need for us to prepare for war, to send a message, to alert people, to make people fear so that they kill one another. What are you going to talk about? Miriam 2007, that's why sometimes I've got tremendous respect for Stephen Kalonzo. He spoke to his brother, Raila Amolo Odinga. He said, what will it gain you if all the people from the central Kenya are killed and you become a president of this country? What are you going to gain? Miriam, Dr. Matsanga has talked about, and we should, Daniel and Karen, if you have not been to Rwanda, I went there and I cannot afford to, I shed tears. I could not imagine how people can just go to a village, to an area and kill people simply because of these drums of war. And in Rwanda, it is only 2 tribes of people who live there, the Tutsis and the Hutus. But we thank God that that country has come up. You saw the other time when Clinton, the former President Clinton, and the Kofi Annan, they went there. You will see when they went the genocide sites, how they were scared. And you ask yourself, where was the world when up to 1 million people were being killed?
Portraying to the West about Kenyans. They have not come here to be able to witness the amount of progress that is happening in this country, and therefore they cannot be able to attest to the good deeds and the progress that the President Uhuru Kenyatta's government is doing. I remember reading some story during the height of the Cold War, where in some country in the Middle East, the American ambassador challenged the Russian ambassador to some kind of contest in a marathon. And when the marathon happened, it happened that it ended up that the American ambassador was number 2 and the Russian ambassador was number 1. And it was only a contest of 2 people. That when it came to reporting the news in America, because the ambassador was number 2 and the Russian was number 1, and it was only a contest of 2 people, the American media in their headlines say that the American ambassador comes in second, as the Russian ambassador comes in just after the last person. Now that is how the headline was skewed. First, it only mentioned that the American ambassador was number 2, and also went ahead to mention that the Russian ambassador came in just before the last person, not mentioning to the whole story that perhaps this was only a race between 2 people, and the Russian ambassador was number 1 and the American ambassador was number 2. So that tells you the essence of what the media is expected of when it comes to relaying of information, because it talks directly to society. and its perspective is taken by a majority of members of society as the gospel truth. And that is why even in Germany, the Nazi Germany, they truly value the media, and they use the media to spread their propaganda. And at even one point, the minister for propaganda, that was Joseph Goebbels, told the people and Hitler that there is nowhere in the country where the heart of a nation beat more vigorously than in the masses. And therefore, the media has a very significant role, Miriam, in portraying the image of a nation, in really changing perceptions, and being educating people, and really just keeping people a right balance between the leadership and the international partners. So it's very, very unfortunate that Victoria Rubadiri had to take such a particular route in really mudsliding Kenya as a country, and which she is a citizen. And they say that for you to hold a man in the mud, you have also to stay in the mud. So perhaps it also spoils the prospects of even Kenyan expatriates working in the Western America. So it's a very bad thing in all, whichever way you chop it.
All right. So Daniel, I think I asked that question to, is it Professor before? Because we also know that the media, the biggest role it plays.
Karen.
Yes.
Where's Karen?
Yes, Karen.
Karen hasn't spoken.
Yes, yes.
I'm here, Doctor.
Karen, in line of all these things that we're looking at this morning also, but the most important role of the media there is to be a public watchdog. So how do we go about this, important role, but also balance the other side?
It's very necessary for us to balance. And balancing here, I mean, we can put that, we are making documentations fine. I'm talking of the media here. We're making documentations fine, but then we can still make good documentations. We have tourism in our country. We have lots and lots of good things from Kenya and from Africa. So we should ask ourselves two things. We as the media now, we want to come up with a book, we want to come up with a documentation. Does it work for our own good as a country? Does it promote patriotism? Does it have to do with patriotism? If it doesn't, then let's just forget about it. Now, if we go by those rules, then we will at least portray or give a good picture of our own country, because Professor is very correct. If you've mingled with these people from the West, then you will know that they look at us like monkeys. It's like nothing good can come out of you. You're African. What can you tell me? So we can make good documentaries that will promote our tourism, our country, other than coming up with something that will put a stop to so many good things. If they put a stop to these funds, then who are going to suffer? It's just us. So we should look at the fact of patriotism. Does it promote patriotism in any way, whatever it is that we're doing? And also consider the source of information. Do we have facts? Is it true? If we are not sure of what we want to expose to the world, then we should just hold it, other than exposing something that we're not sure of, at the expense of being known by the outside world. In fact, the outside world is not even that much interested in us. We should just create come up with a good picture. Now, on the issue of internet providers, Dr. Matsanga talked about that, and the Cyber Act. I think we should come up with restrictions, just the way he said, with these pseudos. We should not just accept the issue of pseudos, because if you're real, why would you want to hide? I mean, what are you up to? Why do you have to hide your identity if you're up to something of any good? So if you have to hide, that means we will question your purpose of being there, because it could not be genuine. It can't be genuine. So we should have the Cyber Act work on that. And also, if at all, we can work on reversing these likes. Do you know that some people have died in this? In fact, young people, teenagers have killed themselves just because of likes. Somebody has generic likes, and you feel like it's just so true. And they feel like they have been rejected by the world. It's happening all over. These kids are killing themselves. Why? Because they feel like so-and-so has 1 million likes, and I just have 2. And we've seen people die because of, so the pressure is just too much. If we can have it reversed, like you have made your own generic data, you've come up with your own data that is fake, and it shows like 100, and in the real sense it's 50, then let it just be reversed. Let it show the real picture of the likes, it's 50, fine. Because going by this trend, we will not stop these drums anytime soon. So that is it, Miriam.
All right, and I see Karanja is back there. Karanja, can you hear us? All right, so probably he's not there. So as we conclude, of course, we were looking at silencing drums of war here in the continent, and we've discovered sometimes the media plays a big role in highlighting some of these hate speeches and escalating some of these conflicts, and perhaps, freedoms, as much as we enjoy them. And I am glad I'm in a country where this is respected, but also it comes with some responsibilities, and sometimes it's a thin line owing to the roles media has that it has to play, and that is the media always has to be with the people. That's what you're taught in the communication class there. So our private mass media face another problem. They have to sell. That is what you're seeing. The private stations, the private newspapers, at the end of the day, they're there for the business. And I think that is where sometimes the patriotism, Karen, that you're talking about is not able to come through when they're doing some of these things, which I think is sometimes is quite dangerous, because at the end of the day, they have to make money, but at what expense? And then...
Miriam, you raised a very good point, a point there. Let me come in. We can't leave that go. I know we are about to close.
Yes.
But we can't leave that go over private media. Do you know how many private companies Britain has? I can tell you, private newspapers, very many, including Wesonga, I'm resurrecting with you, mine, the London Evening Post. Do you know that is Dr. Matsanga's? I don't know whether you have Googled it. That's my newspaper. Every Friday is dropped in the train for people to read my opinion for free. But because I'm here, I cannot concentrate on that. I'm resurrecting it next week to earn a living. And the London trains, southeastern trains, pay me. Pay me for dropping day. A bunch of papers, you work hard, you write. The London Evening Post was bringing only African stories. Google it and see. Wesonga and Miriam, I give you and I was dropping these papers. My friend, I was having my cold beer in a glass. A professor would like to hear this cold beer. Enjoyable. But I was not writing, and I want to make this point clear. I was not writing like a Victoria Lupidire. I was highlighting what is happening on African continent. And there are so many Bazungu, millions and millions who are buying that paper. Even I ended up being sponsored by one Muzungu in Liverpool who needed 200 copies every Thursday. You get my point? So it encouraged me. It encouraged me. Do you know what? It encouraged me to go out, to sit down and read and write good stories about the pubs. How do people operate nightclubs in Kenya? How do they operate nightclubs in Uganda? What type of food can we bring? I ended up, Miriam, I want to tell you the true story. I ended up selling matoke to that Musungu's pub in Liverpool. Don't say because I like Liverpool Football Club. But I delivered matoke, onions, ukura from Kenya. And they started sampling that. That man ended up, I connected the man with an Indian a Kenyan Indian who supplies these things from Kenya. And that man got a flight that delivers things to that club, to a pub, very big pub in Gray's Inn. It's called Gray's Inn Pub in Liverpool. So the essence here, Miriam, is one, private printers, private media does not mean destruction of your country. That's the point I'm trying to make.
All right, and I have not completed.
You cannot use private media tag.
Yes.
And write about the Queen.
Yes.
No, wait. And write about the Queen in London and you stay there. Wow. Sindio iko na democracy.
Yes, you have to apologize. Yes, I've seen that a couple of times. But my point was, Doctor, that private mass media, they face a problem where they have to sell, and that often leads to more sensational
but you
reporting.
Don't know, Miriam. That is why I opposed you.
And that's I'm not finished. If you, Doctor, if you'll just be patient so that I finish my whole thing, perhaps you can understand. Yes. I'm just creating. I'm leading somewhere, so that is just first part of it.
Okay.
So because of this problem, often it leads to more sensational reporting. All right. So there's a tag that says what bleeds. That leads. In other sense, what is more serious, what is more chaotic, what we are seeing, the bloodsheds and all that, that will be the thing they would like to put there on the front pages. In this way, the media can easily contribute to the escalation of conflicts, because acts of violence may dominate the news, as we see now in the country right now, and peaceful interactions remains underreported. So those are the dangers. As much as there are things they could talk about, there are things they could highlight, but according to them, because they're there for business and all that, they choose not to do that. Instead, they focus on things that will be sensational, that will play to people's emotions and all that. So my question that I wanted to ask is, what are the dangers of some of this, reporting, the sensational reporting that we see, especially even right now in the country? When you look at the headlines, you'd see a lot of things happened yesterday, but what has taken the headline and the leading newspapers and the leading, conventional television, stations? I mean, what are the dangers, Professor, of this kind of journalism?
Miriam, development is peace, and peace is development. And what Dr. Matsanga said, I concur with him 100%. Where are you going to do that business and make that profit and money if there's chaos and anarchy in a country? That one calls you that no matter what, Miriam, you have always heard me say and plead to Kenyans, you can't find your father naked and you go to tell people my father is naked. So no matter you want to make money,
You can go down.
Miriam, be patriotic and write stories. It is because they have never realized what peace means to them. You see, Dr. James Mwangi has gotten a Nobel Peace Business Award. What does it tell you? That it is the responsibility of the business people and the private companies, as well you have said, to promote peace, because they are after making profits and their businesses to prosper. And this is those of us who promote peace that we are persuading them that chaos and anarchy will never promote and support their businesses. If the country is at anarchy, the way we are talking about the drums of war, which they are just trying to say, and they are writing on, of what benefit is going to be them that now, Miriam, that if the war of Nairobi, Miriam, do you remember? See the days before the handshake. Who will even buy those your newspapers? Who will even bring, if business are not there, who will bring commercial advertisement to the television? So it is really uncalled for, and we want to do Miriam, if other countries are doing, if other countries, like Daniel has said, you can't write things like Americans and about against the United States of America and you survive. You cannot do it UK. If other countries are protecting and are telling their people to be patriotic to their country, why can't we borrow Miriam from them? That's what I have to say in that case. And I want to end up by saying, Miriam, I've said that I'm checking out shortly because I'm a Rotarian and the meeting is going on.
Okay.
And I want to appeal to Kenyans through the four-way test of the Rotary, of the things we think and say or do. We should always ask ourselves, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? We read build goodwill and better friendship and better our country and take our country forward. We read beneficial for those who are concerned. Some of these things you are reporting, how will they be beneficial to the people of Kenya, to your country? And if we address those 4 points, we will make Kenya a better place and Africa at large. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Professor, before you go, and Miriam, you will summarize. Before you go, one small point. Exactly why I looked at this topic and we brought it for discussion. Is Victoria Rubidiri realizing today how bad Kenya it is? Is it today or she knew a long time ago that Kenya, as bad as it is in a private sector, you can destroy Kenya the way you want? You get the point? Did she realize yesterday, as she's departing to become an anchor? I have my cousin, our Ugandan lady, the most beautiful, tall. You see her. You know her. She also got
Nancy Kachungira, the one who was working in Kenya.
Nancy.
She works for BBC now, I think.
Yes. She has never demonized Kenya. She never wrote anything about Kenya. She even doesn't write. She wrote, she comes from a kingdom where people, she's my friend, like Nancy Kachungure. She is my best friend. When I'm in London, I pop in, we sit down, I call her, we have a drink. But she has never criticized. In fact, yesterday I asked her, are this the type? She said, oh no, David. You can see the heart of a very bad milk man. Can you drink the milk? I have asked a technical question. I need an answer from Miriam.
I haven't. The show is starting. I
don't know whether Miriam got the answer.
Yes.
The question.
I haven't watched the show, so I'll watch the show on Sunday. It starts on Sunday, and then maybe I'll have something to say for myself.
No, I am saying.
Yes.
No, we know. No. I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm saying you can read the heart of a bad
milkman.
Yes. Can you drink the milk?
Never.
Because the milk in London is brought in bottles, and it can be opened. So how can you read the milk when the man who is dropping it at the door?
Yes.
Is not saying hello, good morning.
Yeah, you might be suspicious.
All
right.
Thank you very much. For me, from my end, there are two things. You growing journalists. I have been with Professor so many years, and you have also interviewed the Professor in so many places. And unfortunately, you missed to interview me. I'm a very, very difficult man on that table. And I believe you could have managed me at that time. Because the heart that I see, I can drink the milk.
All right.
So, in a nutshell, Victoria has shown her true colors. In London, you can't write, a private company, you can't start writing why the Queen looks like that. I swear, you don't know the sections that will come for you. You can only go and ask Idi Amin. When he said, thank you very much, when you come to Uganda, I will revenge. Instead of saying, I will also retire, I will give you a vote of thanks, he said, I will revenge. The nuclear weapons were activated. I mean, did not know why the people guarding the room started taking cover, because they thought this man, huge as he is, and the Queen is small, this man was going to kill the Queen. So I just want to beg that as we end here, as I end here on this Matsanga Africa perspective, and hand it over to Miriam, 3 things or 4 things we have learned. Generic institutions must be brought under law. 2, fake and bad media does not help to grow and prosper a society. 4, we remain as watchdogs of the society, but not antidotes of the society and the government. We balance both. We don't go in the pocket of a khaki envelope. Let's go in the pocket of a white envelope. That we deliver the Miriam's white cards. A card is more telling to Karen than a khaki envelope, which can be consumed within 20 hours. It's like taking a woman out in the highest restaurant in town and spending money. But when she wakes up in the morning or she wants to go and buy her clothes, you tell her you don't have the money. Do you think the woman will remember the food she ate? Yeah. Matsanga, that's a lesson for you. The woman will not remember the food, I swear, the food she ate, however expensive the food was. Even if you have bought 200 bottles of Moet, which Matsanga buys, very clearly, Moet. You know, Moet is the highest medium for you people who don't drink, as the professor lives. Moet is the highest angle of champagne. 1 bottle is 60,000.
Why?
60,000. And the people buy 2 bottles, 4 bottles for ladies. Because you have excited. You are excited to have seen a lady walking like a walk cat walk. But tomorrow tell her you don't have money for what she needs. She will walk away. She will not remember the Moet.
Very true.
So I leave it there. Don't destroy your relationship on short-term basis because you are going to BBC. Or because you have got a new place where you are going, a new station has called you, then you destroy the old station. One day, you might need to come back to that same station. Thank you very much. Mine ends here.
All right. Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you, Professor Daniel. I think let's conclude here. And Karen and our guests from Nanyuki, Jevan. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you on the show. This has been Matsanga Africa Perspective. Let's meet here at 3 p.m. For the latest news across the continent. My name is Miriam Ogutu. A very good afternoon to you, and bye-bye for now.